In this, the second part of limiting beliefs, external locus of control, and low resources hardwires, we will look at how these hardwires wreak havoc in our society.
Did you know that the two highest occupational intelligences are unconditional love and enabling belief? So belief is a very high intelligence that is the driver for your success or for your failure. Think about it. Self-belief is the fundamental belief that we develop as children that make us feel we're safe and we're okay. I believe I'm worthy. I believe that I've got the potential to reach my purpose on this earth. So enabling belief is the driver of everything that reaches your destiny.
On this cold and windy morning, Vivian and Stephen Morake meet close to the Lesotho border. These are not just any old friends. They are both change makers in their own right, here to discuss pressing cultural issues.
So what's going on in terms of the economy and the entrepreneurial side of things?
Well, nothing is permanent. Things change, and especially with the COVID, nobody saw it coming and things had to change. But what can we do? I mean, it is what it is. We roll with the punches. Whatever that has stopped working, we start thinking of, okay, this doesn't work. Are we going to stay and cry forever? Or are we going to start looking for what can we do next? Or are we waiting for government that is not coming with solutions? So it's been tough on everyone, but hey, life goes on. We're grateful to be alive.
You see, it's all a belief system. Whether you believe the control lies inside you, doesn't matter whether COVID or tsunami comes, whether you say, I can do it and I see the opportunities, I switch on my own brain, or whether you wait and you wait for promises. And then what do you see in the communities? What is your experience with your community in terms of locus of control?
Where I come from, obviously things have changed. Businesses have closed, systems have stopped. And people are complaining, when is it going to restart? When is the Prime Minister opening up? When is government bringing change? When are they bringing back my this, my job, my that? But reality of the matter is I look at it and I say, it is what it is. Are we going to wait and wait until when? How do we snap out of it instead of sitting and crying and complaining? I mean, we are here, we are alive. Things have changed.
But if you look at your community, what percentage would you say are having external locus? And what percentage internal, and how do they behave? What's the behavioral patterns?
Well, it's still somebody's fault. You know, it's still the virus by somebody. It's still by help is not coming. Nobody's taking responsibility to say, what can I do? You know, so it's still the external blames of who is not doing what, who brought the virus, who closed the border, who shut down the business. But it's not about, okay, it has happened, but how do I move on? What can I do? Internally, I must be able to look at myself and say, what responsibility do I take? Instead of just blaming somebody externally and complaining and blaming and blaming. It doesn't help.
You were the only one I found that was like an eagle and Mutsu, that could fly by yourself. You didn't care whether other people are following you and whether you stand alone.
Well, yeah, I appreciate the compliment, but you probably just happened that our paths crossed. But I can say to you as viewers, there's probably many more of us out there. There's a lot of factors that hold us back and stop us from becoming the best we were born to be because of a lot of factors. You come from a family where nobody has been successful before, and when you try to break through, your family tells you, oh, slow down. No one has done it in this family. Oh, you think you want to be successful. Who else has been successful? You can't make it. Oh, you want to be a medical doctor. In this community, we've never had one. So there's always a reason why you can't, But really now, do they define me? What if I can? What if I stop worrying about I cannot and start saying, what if I can? And then you start taking a step towards trying to be different and like you say, trying to break out and be the best you can be. I personally have made a lot of mistakes. I see people make lots of mistakes, but half of the time it comes out right, and they're glad they made the mistake because you wouldn't have learned. So with everything, really, it is always starting with you looking within to say, am I in charge? Am I in control? what do I want? Not what my mother says, what the community leader says, how they have always done it before, how it never happened. But what if I give it a shot? Imagine the possibility that can come out from that. So I think really it starts with me, instead of just worrying about other people being in control of how you think and how you do things.
Yes, but doesn't it come from the parenting or educational systems that tells you you can't talk, they command and control you, and don't look at me until I tell you so, or don't, and if you raise a person to not believe that you can, you don't have enough value.
Oh,
to
absolutely,
make
absolutely. So, I mean, I couldn't agree better, Vivian, and the viewers probably would agree with me. There's always people who will tell you, you cannot do that. That is not supposed to be done. Nobody has done it before. Don't go there. Don't try it. Don't even think about it. So definitely our school education system, our religious system, the people we grow with, and sometimes our families mean well. They think they mean well, but they are holding us back. I've seen a lot of times people want to venture into something, and then you see an opportunity, and your husband or your wife would say, don't do it, don't do it. And then you hold him back because somebody brought their fears into your life. And all of a sudden now you are holding back. And where you're sitting alone, you're thinking, I should have tried it. But somebody said, don't. So the influence is there.
A limiting belief is started by instilling spook or fearing a person, making a person to be scared, and then dominating that person so that that person doesn't want to stand up. And then you believe you can't. And that's why it's a limiting belief.
The next hardwire is low resources, or LOR. Vivian wants to find out from Stephen if there's any link between low resources and the hardwires, limiting belief, or external locus of control.
I strongly believe viewers from background like mine would agree with what Vivian is raising here. I mean, sometimes it's not necessarily a lack of resources, but it is about where you put your resources. I come from a background where there is a stock fair about you getting groceries at the end of the year, and there's a stock fair about in case somebody dies, we must have a funeral with the best coffin and lots of food, and slaughter the biggest cow or two, and then people can eat, and then it can be talk of the village. Or people want to have the wedding, and you put in the poor couple under so much debt to go borrow lots of money so that they can have the biggest wedding with the biggest marquee and the best dress and plenty food so that everybody can eat and eat more than they deserve. And then the following day, the wedding is over, and you are sitting there with debt, and you're thinking, all this money that we blew on these people that are not even thinking about us, we should have invested it in starting our lives.
And the child can't go to school, there's no money, and then you start having another limiting belief, which is that LOC that says, but somebody else must give it to me for education for my children. In the meantime, you produce the child, and you actually are responsible to pay for that education. So
now it's somebody's fault.
Two limiting beliefs playing out in one brain.
Absolutely. And the society and community will make you feel guilty for not subscribing to that school of thought. So a young couple would say, look, we don't want a big wedding. We want to start our own family in the best way we want how. But the mother or the father would say, look, in this family, it's a family thing. You must have a big, but it's not about you. Now you are carrying the burden of somebody who wants you to take over their dreams. So there's those limiting beliefs about following what others want instead of what you feel is best for you.
Again, back to the first limiting belief, which is locus of control, because you don't think for yourself, and you don't weigh up and focus on the 20% that gives you the 80% result. And then eventually you get no result, and you get to move nowhere slowly, and then you wonder why you are in a cycle of poverty. Let's go to the third one. The third limiting belief is called LIB. It's called LIB, limiting beliefs. It's generic, but it's got to do with the schisms, traditionalism, sexism, the religious type of spirit, and people that are blocked in their mind, so they are not open to seek, to understand, and then not give up on your values that you don't want. And then we're not saying culture and tradition is not right, but we're saying if it's going to disempower one human around you, then there's something wrong with that belief system that you are practicing. Get yourself another one. Or if it doesn't bring you to your end result and to your greatness and to that purposeful human that you're supposed to be, now you just take up any job and you never get to your purpose because of those limiting beliefs. What experience do you have in that?
It's very interesting you say this. I know a young man who had just graduated from university and family had really struggled. There had been no savings for university. So family had really struggled to take him to school. And after his graduation, the young man felt, I need to explore. I need to see the world. And family was thinking, no. We've been struggling for you. Just get a job and be safe and continue. Stop thinking about the world and everything. Just stay here and relax. But the young man decides against the family and the parents' wishes and says, I want to explore the world. More like a rebel, he lives and he goes. And upon coming back with so much further knowledge, with so much opportunities from exposure, now all of a sudden they start saying, we're glad you left. Look at you now. You know, you were not thinking like this before you left. So the limiting beliefs, they wished you well, but they felt in their minds, this is it. So it is always the restriction that don't go. You must stay here and you finish school, get a job, get married, have babies, get retirement and die. But these are somebody's beliefs about their children. But the children say, that is not what I want. I don't necessarily want to follow that pattern. If it happens that I fall in that, let it be. So the parents, society, church, religion, colleagues, the aunties, they mean well, but limiting. Limiting
beliefs. I have an experience with a Malawian family that believed that their children must go back to Malawi. And I was in this clash in terms of my belief that a child must be with their parents the first 7 years because that is the time when self-belief in a child develops. They believe the child must go and somebody else must raise the child. And then even my own culture, my own mother came to me and said, leave them, it's their culture. I said, it's not their culture. They're disempowering this child. When that little child cries and falls, there's no mama or daddy that can hold them and say, that's okay. So we sometimes confuse tradition and culture with something that disempowers a human.
It is very interesting you say that. And where I come from in Lesotho, growing up, there's always been snow. And there's a department called Disaster Management Authority. And snow is the focal point. So when it snows, it's a disaster. Oh, people are going to die. Yes, people die because they get trapped in snow. But isn't there anything good out of this snow? There sure is. So when I want to go skiing, they say, oh, you'll get arthritis. Oh, you'll get flu. Oh, you'll fall sick. But even my own mother and my father, they won't even let me take my children. Because, oh, if you want to risk your life, do it alone and you'll fall sick alone, but leave the children out of it. So it's the beliefs that things have always been done this way, you know, but why can't I do it differently? So it is how things have always been done that is really holding us back.
But everything that you can conceive and you believe, so what you believe is who you will become. And if it's a limiting belief, then that is why you are going to be limited in what you're going to become. But if you have an enabling belief and never damage a human being and understand really what is your own end result. If you don't know what your end result is, then you'll go nowhere slowly also, and then you will take up all these beliefs that people pump into your ears.
There's a saying that follow your bliss and the universe will open doors where there was never any. Exactly what you said, so powerful, believe. If you believe, everything is there. You're just tapping into it and it will open up to you. I fully agree with you.
I saw you for who you are, Mr. Morake. I think it was a complementary thing, and we became 1 + 1 is 5 in things that we did, and it was so good. It's because we saw each other as full human beings. And
absolutely. I mean, we clicked because we had a common denominator. We were both clued on. We were both on the same energy level, regardless of race. It doesn't matter whether you are white or I'm black, or somebody could say, hey, you're not black, you're brown. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. But the bottom line is, if there is the right flow of energy if we see eye to eye, if we subscribe to the same school of thought. It doesn't matter what race you are, it doesn't matter what background you come from, it doesn't matter what sex you are, it doesn't matter what political party you subscribe to, it doesn't really matter what church or belief system you go to. If it works, it works. If something is white, it's white. If it's black, it's black, regardless of where you go to church or what you eat or what you believe.
But racism and apartheid was a very big limiting belief, such a big limiting belief with multiplier effects of destruction. But it's now, so many years later.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Vivian, and the viewers would agree with me as well. I mean, apartheid was never a nice thing and racism was never a nice thing, but these are things that happened over a long period of time, before our time. But you and I are here now. Should we still let it limit us? We have the choice to break the cycle and say, we're continuing with life. You know, it is what it is. We're not saying it didn't happen. We're not saying it wasn't wrong. But are we going to now continue as well? Or are we going to snap and break away from it? You find value in me, I find value in you. We do business, we do conversations, we do lunch, we do humanitarian work, we do empowering work. Or are we going to hold on and say, your great-grandfathers versus my great-grandfathers? That's limiting belief. I don't want to be stuck there. I'm here now, and I'm concerned about the present and the future. So as much as the past happened, it shouldn't hold me back. That is enough already. It shouldn't be limiting me. This is why I don't see you in a race form. But I see a fellow human being that we have something common in wanting to change the world and add value where value matters most.
How did you get it right not to be racist, not to have that limiting belief? I know why I'm not racist and I don't have that belief. But how did you get it right? Because majority people are still stuck in it.
Well, Vivian, to me, people are people. You're hungry, you want food, I'm hungry, I want food. Same food fills your tummy and fills my tummy too. So maybe it's exposure. You know, having grown in a society where there was no racism in Lesotho, where I come from, and then living in South Africa, when I come into South Africa as a 21-year-old who is going to university, I didn't grow up with racism. You know, I don't see people as opponents. I just see people as people. I mean, to the biggest shock of my life, when I came to Pretoria, one distinct thing is there's white people and there's black people. And I'm on the black people side, you know. So that I'm at peace with. But the one thing that really, really haunted me is when I see black people like me, and I try to speak to them. Now this one speaks Zulu, this one speaks Chivenda, this one speaks Xhosa, this one speaks Tswana, and I'm thinking, hang on, I thought I was different from the white people. I'm actually different from, actually we are all people, can we just get along? So to me it doesn't matter whether you are Dutch or you are English or you are German or you are Venda or Xhosa or Zulu, we're just human beings, can we just get along? So I think, again, I didn't have from the background where I come from, racism. I mean, parenting.
So parenting is the thing.
Absolutely. I mean, growing up as a kid, we went to school from primary to high school with children from the Indian communities who were the big business people where I come from in Lesotho. And we went to school with their children and we knew the children were different. I mean, in my school, again, we had assembly. Monday to Thursday, we read the Bible, we read the verse, and we pray, our Father who art in heaven. But on Friday is the Islamic assembly. Then they stand up and they read the Quran. We're not walking away to say, oh, I'm not Muslim. They read the Quran, and then we don't even understand the hymns they're singing. But as kids, we blend in, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Muhammadu Rasulallah. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm appreciating them. I'm embracing them. I'm not Muslim, but I'm singing your Muslim hymn. It doesn't make me a bad person. You are Muslim, I am Christian. Monday to Thursday, you are listening to the story of David and Paul and Mary and Jesus, and we read the Bible and we pray our Father. It doesn't mean you subscribe to my religion, but it's tolerance. So if as people, we acknowledge and we understand that we're different, so what? I've never, ever, ever allowed the limiting beliefs to say, oh, this restaurant this is just full of white people eating, I cannot come in. I'll come in and eat. I don't see color, I see people. So I think really my conducive parenting, the background where I come from, really didn't put any beliefs on me. This is why if you take children from different races and you let them be, they don't see anything else until we start teaching them otherwise.
So you have now learned about A2B, and you know that the two-dimensional part of the brain is the Z side, the zoom in side. It looks at numbers and color, and it sorts and it segregates. So it's not necessarily the human, but if that human is too dominant in the two-dimensional side, they automatically are going to segregate, and that's what causes this you are not me, us versus them. And that is the problem in terms of limiting beliefs. So we need to be whole brain. We need to have Z and ZOR integrated.
And break the hardwires.
Break the hardwires.
Indeed, we have to break these hardwires, as primary hardwires lead to secondary hardwires, which then leads to the formation of tertiary hardwires. All this eventually leads up to the regression of the self.
External locus of control hardwire regresses and forms new tertiary hardwires. So the first one it would form is addiction, because dependency, it's going to form a dependency on substances, dependency on alcohol, or on anything that makes you dependent. So you will see everyone with external locus of control is having regressive dependencies that they develop inside themselves. So they have never a chance to get to an optimum human. Furthermore, they would develop a vengeful hardwire. Vengeful hardwire is having a grudge against all the people that do things against them and to them, but they have no power to stand for themselves. So that vengefulness just becomes a cancer in their mind, and that regresses into heartlessness. Heartlessness is eventually really giving up your spirit, not only your soul now, but now also your spirit.
Let us start to become the change we want to see in the world. A good place to start is to know where we're at this moment. So let's sign up and do the Hardwire assessment.